Hi everyone, it's Anthony here, Twin Love, back with chapter 5 of my journey, and just want to apologise for the delay of doing this video. It's been a while since the last chapter, but as some of you may know, it's been a bit of a tough last 5-6 weeks, so this is why. But anyway, so I think that from what I remember, chapter 4 was basically about getting with the brother-in-law, and then I came out of that, you know, and Twin and I were back to being in each other's lives, I suppose. So this chapter really is basically talking you through the next steps of what happened between us, but also what was happening with me, with my evolving, if you like, what it was internally that I was sort of going through whilst trying to deal with external situations. And basically Twin and I, this was now back in 2015, and we were now back in communication. And I realised that with the outside influences, I kind of started to see what it was that I wasn't doing with Twin. And that was really kind of standing in my utter vulnerability, I suppose, being my true authentic self, which I didn't ever realise that I had a hard time with. You know, I didn't realise just how many blocks I had. And when it came to speaking with Twin, it was always a fear. It was always a fear of really speaking my truth, of really, you know, expressing my all to him, because of fear. Fear was the ultimate thing that was preventing me from really showing him my authentic self. And he was the only person I ever wanted to do that with, and he was the only person that came into my life that made me want to do that with. There was no running away from it, and I tried running, as you know, and he's run and I've run, and so it was really hard to kind of confront me so to speak, you know. So basically Twin and I were back in conversation, and you know, he'd come down a few times, and there was one particular day in 2015 where he spontaneously came down to see me, and we had a fair going on in Spain. So we decided to, or you know, a big crowd of us got together, my friends and his friends, and we all got together and we went out. And we were doing the Spanish thing, you know, big fiesta and everything, and it was a great night. And Twin and I somehow managed to be on our own towards the end of the evening. And it started to rain. We were now outside in this fair thing, and it started to rain heavily. And we started running down the road, and he was holding my hand, and we were sort of trying to get out of the rain. And as I was in front of him, like sort of holding his hand, he sort of pulled me back and turned me round. And he said, "Anth, I love you." So this is the second time now in 5 years at this point where he said that to me. And I don't know if you remember from when he first initially said it to me from my previous chapter, what I said. And I said to you, you know, what was that about? Why did I do that? Well, he did it. He said, "I love you." And what do you think I did? I said, "Good boy." Again, for the second time. Good boy. I mean, like, you know, you would have thought that by now I would have progressed a bit. No. I was petrified. Petrified of saying it back to him. So then he did it again. He said to me again, "I mean it. I really do love you." And then I said, "Good. So you should. It was a repeat. It was the exact same replica of what had happened 4 years previously. The exact same thing. I still was so scared to voice, to speak my truth, what was in my heart. And we laughed and we kissed and we couldn't say it. So during that time he was down in that period, you know, I had, I'd previously written Twin a letter. This was a few months before. This was when we were back in contact and I'd finished with the brother-in-law and everything. And, you know, I thought that I needed to express myself to Twin, and I'd written it on a piece of paper. But honestly, I never planned to give him that. I just needed to get it out of me, and writing it down on paper was really the only way that I could truly express myself at this time, because I didn't know how to let it out otherwise. You know, when it came to speaking out through my mouth, it just seemed like it was an impossible task for me. And fear was the main factor that got in the way of doing so. So to write it on paper was the only way I could do it. And when he was down that particular time, just after he said he loved me, I think it was the day after, and he was due to go back to Madrid. And I knew that a friend of ours, a mutual friend, was going to go and see him before he was going to be going back. So Twin had left some boxer shorts at mine. And I decided that it felt like I needed to give him the letter. I just felt like I needed to do it. So I put it in the bag with the boxer shorts, and I told the friend to please deliver his boxer shorts back to Twin. And I knew that Twin would not actually really read anything until he got back to Madrid. So the whole day I was just a nervous wreck, because in this letter I had written, it wasn't so much as a love letter. It was actually really talking to him about me, about my truth, about who I am, about my childhood, what I've been through. And honestly, I had a fantastic childhood. There wasn't really anything to say, but it was my insecurities that I held on to. You know, I told myself a story that I was so not worthy of anything, and I never had a voice. You know, I could never be really who I wanted to be in terms of growing up, you know, around family members, around cousins, and always feeling inadequate, never feeling like I was good enough. That was all my stuff, you know, it was my stuff, it was my issues, but I convinced myself that that's what I told myself, therefore that's what was real. And you know, I kind of just expressed my truth. I really laid out who I was. I stood naked on a bit of paper, still not speaking up, by the way, but I did. I expressed my innermost, my fears, my insecurities, you know, who I am really. And I remember that day like it was yesterday. And the minute that letter left my house in a bag en route to Twin, I could not stop crying. I couldn't stop crying. It was the first time in my life where I had been completely vulnerable with someone. Really, like, written down the depths of me, and someone was going to read that, and it scared me. It scared me. I didn't know what to expect. I didn't know what to expect. I didn't know what to think. I didn't know what to feel. All I knew was that I was crying my past. Like, my past was coming out of my eyeballs, you know. I was going back to the days where I was rejected by guys that no one thought I was worthy enough to fight for, that no one thought I was worthy enough to be their girlfriend, or, you know, all the past lovers that I had. And it really scared me. The rejection scared me. Everything scared me. Everything scared me. And I'd wrote at the end of the letter how much I loved him, how highly I think of him, and that I don't put him on a pedestal in any which way or form, because I see him for who he is, and I just love and accept all that he is. And I didn't know what to expect. I just, all I felt was fear, and I was crying all day. And it was like the floodgates, it wouldn't stop. Like, my friends that I was living with were like, oh my God, snap out of it. And I'm like, I can't stop crying. And I didn't stop crying the whole day. And then it got to about, I think, 12:30 in the evening, like 1 o'clock in the morning, something like that. And I had a ping on my phone, and it was Twin. And the first thing he said was, well, I've never had a love letter delivered in a dirty pair of underwear before. That was the first thing he said. And then the second thing he said was, I love you too, silly. And that was it. You know, I was crying all over again. And I was like, really? Do you really love me? Are you sure? I don't think I really believed it. I don't think I did. I think I still had doubts. I think I still thought, I don't know. I don't know whether or not to believe this is really true. I don't know whether to believe that you really mean that. I don't know what to believe, and he was telling me what I wanted to hear, but still I felt so unworthy of really believing that he did really love me. But I think that what needed to happen was I needed to face my fears, and it really wasn't about him responding. It wasn't really, the lesson for me wasn't about what he would say back. The lesson for me was really seeing if I could be vulnerable, be my true authentic self with him, because it wasn't easy to do that. It wasn't easy to express my innermost self. And I still realized that at that time that I still needed to be that way with him in the physical. I had to stop hiding away, you know, hiding behind letters. I had to stop hiding behind words on a bit of paper. I had to really, truly express myself. So anyway, we were together New Year's Eve, and we had a lovely time. We had a lovely, lovely time. But I instinctively knew, I think I was kind of putting out the vibes that I was waiting for something to go wrong. Anyway, so time goes on, and it's now 2016, and it's my birthday. And I couldn't have even written down what I would have wanted Twin to have done for me, because he completely exceeded my expectations. He wouldn't leave my side. He was being like an actual boyfriend. He was so loving, so affectionate. He was so attentive. He gave me his all. He wouldn't even let me make a cup of tea. He was spoiling me like no one else has ever spoiled me before. Never. And on my birthday, we, you know, the whole time he was being like this. And we ended up in a bar. It was quite late in the evening. And we were just talking, just me and him. My friends are around, but we always sort of like congregate together somewhere, you know, we feel the need to talk. And as time was going on, I was opening up a lot more. And he started crying. He started crying. We were talking about the ex-boyfriend, the brother-in-law. And he said, like, he felt he'd been stabbed in the heart, and he just burst into tears. And I was stroking his face, and we were talking about the past, talking about the fact that he got himself a girlfriend, you know, back in 2011, and we were talking about everything and the mistakes, and we were really being vulnerable with each other, really vulnerable. And he just couldn't stop crying, and he was stroking my face, and he said, you know what? He said, past is past. He said, let's leave it there because it's all about today. Today is what matters. He said, I love you so much. And for the first time, I said, I love you too. So it was beautiful. It was so beautiful. And we'd planned to go away together a month later to a friend of ours, the best friend, actually it was the best friend. He'd now moved to England and it was his 40th birthday, and we decided that we were going to go over and spend his 40th birthday together. So the time came now, this was like a month later, and I sensed that twin was distant. Something wasn't right, and I could feel this distance. So I tried to just sort of get on with it, you know, and I just thought, it's typical, now that I'm opening up, he's now becoming really distant. So we went away to England, and it wasn't a great time, to be perfectly honest. It was a horrible weekend, horrible weekend. Best friend and I fell out, and a lot of things happened that made me question a lot of things to do with Twin and I. Made me question everything, really. And I just didn't feel right. I felt something was off. So anyway, we got back and Twin and I fell out. We fell out that weekend. And I didn't want to talk to him. I didn't want to talk to him. I didn't want to see him anymore. I just felt like I was done. You know, he did something stupid, and, you know, I feel very much like, at the time, I felt like we were on a completely different level because of the distance that was already created from him between us, and now this argument and everything that happened. And I just felt that I didn't want to be around him anymore. I didn't like who he was in front of the best friend because he became someone different. I didn't like his ego, if you like. And I think because I was becoming more out of ego, I could see his ego more clearly, and it wasn't resonating with me. And I didn't like the energy. I didn't like what he was portraying, sorry. And I just had a sense, something was off. So we fell out, and I didn't any longer want to speak with him. I wanted to move on with my life. I wanted to basically break away from the connection again. And he came down again, and he was, I wouldn't say begging to see me, but we were kind of like, I mean, he messaged me a lot, and he couldn't stop crying throughout these messages. He even said himself, I can't stop crying. You know, he knew that he'd hurt me a lot, and I needed time to heal. You know, I wanted distance between us. I didn't want to communicate. I needed time to reflect. I needed time to really think about the direction in life I wanted to go in, and I just wanted to focus on me. I wanted to focus on myself, my love for self. I wanted to become stronger, and I couldn't do that in his presence. I needed time out. I needed time out to really establish who I was. And because now I was becoming so much more vulnerable, I was starting to really see myself. I was starting to really come forward in all of my authenticity. Not just a bit now, but I was fully exploring me. And anyway, I did eventually meet up with Twin when he came back again. And I went to his house, actually. He had a house party. And I saw his parents for the first time since the brother-in-law incident. And it was all a bit iffy, if you like. And to be honest, I wasn't in a good place with Twin anyway. But I sort of felt that, well, as you know, you get drawn back. So I was drawn back. That's what happened. So, of course, I'm open to discussion. I'm open to, you know, establishing what it is I'm feeling around him, if you like. Anyway, that night, we ended up going out again, and again we found ourselves alone. And we broke away from the crowd, the usual suspects, and we became so open to the point that I don't think we could have got more open. I mean, the conversation went to another level, and I didn't even think that it could go to another level because I felt that I was already completely open in expressing myself. But it turns out, no, not so much. I had more to come out. And he completely opened. He was crying on my shoulder. He was saying the most beautiful things, you know, and he said to me that he knew that he struck gold when he found me, and he openly admitted how unworthy he felt to even have me in his life, loving him. He doesn't feel like he deserves my love. He doesn't feel like he's worthy. He doesn't feel like he's good enough. And I really started to see him. I mean, I already knew him. I kind of already instinctively knew he felt that way, but he never said it. And this was the night that we were speaking in utter truth. And we both were crying. We decided to go for a long walk along the beach, and he turned to me and he said that he loves me unconditionally. He says, I've never loved anyone like I love you. He says, and it scares me. And he said, and I just love you unconditionally, Anthony. He said, and I see my future in your eyes, but I'm petrified. I'm petrified of hurting you. He said, and I want to be a better person. He said, I don't want to be this guy anymore. He says, I want to do better. I want to love better. He goes, and I don't know how to do it. And I was saying to him, you know, how much I believed in him. And I was saying to him that I love him. But I was also speaking what I feel I'm worthy of now. I was also speaking what I'm deserving of. And I never put it on him to say, you need to be like this. I never did that. I just said of what it is I want in my life. Without him being made to feel like it was up to him to be that, I was just merely expressing what I want. And that was the first time for me that I was strong enough to actually really speak up and speak my truth. But I mean really speaking my truth. Utter vulnerability. I was completely naked. And it was a shift changer for us. It started to shift. There was a big shift there. So from then on we were communicating, and still I knew he was holding something back. I did. So he invited me to Madrid one particular weekend now. This was now in the, I do believe, October. And he invited me to Madrid. And this was the first time I'd ever been in now 6 years since we'd met. And I thought, yeah, I'm going to go. Anyway, within an hour of me being there, he confessed that he got himself a girlfriend. Yep, there he was doing the exact same thing. Convenient girlfriend who lives in Madrid. Me and him had gone through a crap time. We weren't talking, and there he has another girlfriend who'd conveniently gone away for the weekend. And I was devastated. I was absolutely devastated. And I just thought, I can't do this anymore. I can't do this to myself anymore. I can't be in this intensity and this love and this, whatever the hell this was. And he's now repeating 2011 all over again. And I'll be damned if I ever get back into that place of depression, or the dark night of the soul, if you want to call it that. And there was no way I was putting myself through that again. So I got dropped off at the station. I wrote him a message again because, you know, I just thought, I don't even want to say it to your face. I was so angry and hurt again that I was literally done. I was done. And that's what the distance was that I felt. That's what that distance was. And I thought, right, enough is enough. Sorry, I don't care how much I feel for you, but I love me more. I love me more. And I'm not putting myself through this ever again. Ever again with you. You don't get to do this to me again. So when I got home, I wrote him a message to say I would appreciate the fact that you get out of my life for good. There is no way I will ever respect you and even begin to want you in my life again. Because from this moment on, I am the one that I think about. It is me that I love. It is me that I respect. And I will never, ever, ever allow you to do this to me again. So as far as I'm concerned, you go your way and I'm going to go mine. And we are done. We are completely and utterly done. And I did. I sent him that. I deleted his number. I blocked him on the messenger thing, WhatsApp, so he could never contact me again. And I was done. I was done, well and truly done. And for the first time, I didn't want to cry. I didn't. I actually remember telling myself, and I remember sitting here on this couch behind me, and I remember telling myself at that particular time, I know he is in here. I know that I'm going to love him like I've never loved anyone in my life. I know that this connection is never going to go. But I'm actually happy and content in the knowledge that I love him, but I'm going to actually live my life for me. I'm actually content with the fact that I know that I'm going to be connected to him, but I'm able to love him and let him fully go. I know that I'm okay with that. And I know that no matter what happens, I'm always going to be in a place of love and happiness and contentment because I actually love me. And I know I'm always going to be okay. And I accept that I'm connected, but I need to let this go. And I did. I let it go. So that's chapter 5. And, you know, let's just say chapter 6 is actually really good, because if any of you guys watch my Twin Flame Energy update, you're going to know that, of course, that was not the end. So there you go, chapter 5 for you guys. So I love you. And, you know, like I say at the end of every video, trust yourselves. Self-love is the most important thing in the world. And when you really do step into that place of letting go and surrender, and you really do get to that place of self-love, and you feel really good inside with that, and you're strong, and you see yourself as this, I don't know, maybe a goddess, I suppose. Things change. Twins will do their work. And he proved it. So chapter 6 should, you know, it's a little bit more exciting. Chapter 5 not so good. Oh, sorry, I've got a battery thing coming up. All right, so I'm gonna love you, leave you that. That's obviously the universe saying, right, done. All right, so I'll be back with chapter 6 hopefully very soon. Mwah. Love you all. Have a lovely evening, and I'll speak to you soon. All right, take care. Bye bye.